So I was saying that I would try to explain what is behind the logic we follow to categorize the different feeder systems we found. And also I would ask you if you find some of them I try to use, or like just to collect the more relevant and more important ones so far, but if you identify some feeder system that you just think is missing, just please let me know. Okay, so we go first. I will say the two criteria we use. So with the means of transportation use. So basically bus, minibus, bicycles, pedelecs, which is electric bikes, taxis, cars, and walking. And the second criteria was there was two big groups, and we've been all the time talking about public transportation, but we also have to think about individual transport. So just people walking and riding a bike. So I distinguish that those two big groups. So bicycles or pedelecs, walking against buses or shared taxis, and within those within the public transportation systems, next one please. We can find three different categories. So the fixed route transport, the oldest one. So they have established path and preset times. They don't offer any flexibility, which is a problem for the rural areas we are looking at. The second kind of transport, we do demand responsive transport. The main advantage they offer, has a great flexibility because either paths or the schedules are under demand of users or potential users. Okay, so they will use in a share ride mode. The third one, and that's the flexible hybrid systems. They are a mixture between both the former we just saw. So they offer some flexibility mixed with some pre-scheduled and preset times. Okay, but they can be modified according to user needs. So we will see those two different schemes: demand responsive connectors and route deviation schemes. Okay, and now we have the individual transport system, and I have more here. You have the scheme name and the means of transport use and examples in different places. Okay, there are some of them. For instance, for the bicycle sharing, which is in Burgos 2 now, for a few years ago. You know how it works. Basically, a bike can be rent or taken for a short period of time just to transport from point A to point B. There are many examples of urban areas, right? So like EcoBici in Buenos Aires, Bicimat in Madrid just started last week. Although instead of bicycles, we use pedelecs, okay, electric bikes, and just the scheme started last week. The footpaths for non-motorized modes of transportation. This is a network of footpaths to communicate different cities. Okay, so this being an example we found in is called Greenways in the Netherlands, and another example we have Vento in Italy. So to connect the whole north of Italy is a cycling path to connect different cities along the way. Another example is the walking together, the pedibus. So it's been, especially for those cities that already have a cycling path, basically works for taking kids to school. Works like a bus scheme, so you have stops and schedules, but instead of taking a bus, you just take, some adults take the kids all together to school. So an example we have in Riccione, Loano in Italy, and in France, the greater Lyon region. The next one, park and ride, and it's also pedal and ride. There are some examples, but park and ride is really common in the UK, in York and the cities of Oxford. So basically, there are facilities, car park next to fixed route next to bus station or train stations to enable to integrate or to communicate those people who just take the car, just leave the car, park it, leave it the whole day, and after take the bus to go to the city center. Can you just back please on? And also a really interesting one, Jose Maria talked about promoting intermodality. So this example is being just is quite new. The last year started in Germany. So they combine pedelecs, the use of pedelecs, with electric buses. The way it works, people from on really rural areas, they take the pedelecs and they go. It's no more than 5 kilometers, and they go to take the electric buses that goes through the main road. So the ticket includes the rent of the pedelec and the bus ticket too. So they are integrated. I will say this has a huge advantage because pedelecs can increase the enrichment area compared to bikes. So they offer, and also in terms of speed and in terms of, there's some of them that are 60 kilometers. The battery or the engine these bikes have attached can take you 60 kilometers. Okay, so next one, please. So I just put down some key features or some key conclusions. So for us to think a little bit more. So they are the most sustainable ones because they don't have any, you don't have to offset any emissions. So they're the most. They are the ones that reduce the CO2 emissions the most and improving active mobility. So it's also a way of improving a healthier style of life. The problem they have a catchment area which is limited. So when we think of them, the best option is also to integrate with the regular transport networks. Okay, so for the last mile we were talking about. Also, some of the conclusion of the case studies I saw, they were saying it's good to implement these kind of schemes, but it's also good to invest on the facilities to promote, for instance, the private. So people don't have to go to this scheme, so they can just take their own bikes because that way we don't have to. We'll be like more sustainable in the long term. Okay, because you don't have to keep on maintaining those bikes. So like everyone will be able to just keep maintaining their own bikes. The problem, one of the main barriers was safety reasons. Okay, a lot of users they don't find some of them secure. So when we talk about the foot pathways, they have to be well lit. They have to well signed. In terms of the pedibus, there were a lot of parents. Their main concern was the security. The reason, just leave people or their kids with other adults. So the security is one key factor for the success of these schemes. These ones fixed route transport systems. I decided to include this one, although the fixed route they don't work really well in rural areas. This rapid transit system is just starting in a rural area in the United States. So basically, they were linking a rural area with a city around like 40 kilometers away. And what they achieved was to reduce the traveling time half. So it was quite. The impact of the use of public transportation systems was quite strong. So this scheme, they combines the quality of rail transit because they take some of the features of rail transit offer and combine with flexibility of buses. So just think on the fact sheets, you will see that there's the stops, they are like higher. So kind of like they work hard to just get a strong an identity, okay, of the scheme. So this is linked to the marketing we will see later. So it's really important to promote the scheme itself so they get an identity, so it's easier to identify by potential users. But I didn't find any example in main Europe. So, okay, next one. And this is the demand responsive transport. And I use, this is two examples. They are really alike. So both of them, they offer people just book them in advance. So they are no pre-scheduled. There's no pre-routes. So it depending on the users, right? So the first one in Switzerland, they offer door-to-door services. So that means that's really maybe switchable for people with mobility problems. The next one in Germany, called Multibus, they don't offer door-to-door services. They just have key points or key stops where people just can go close to their house to take these small medium buses. So we have the third one, the paratransit services or community transport. They are more, they also demand responsive systems, but they are more focused on, they are different because of the target of the users. So they are focused on people with mobility problems. So the vehicles are fitted, or they have the wheelchair ramps, or different kinds of, just for them to easy, so to make them easy to take to incentivize those people, elderly, wheelchair users, to take them. There's one in Europe we call them, in the UK we call them the community transport, and there are cities in Kent, in Kansas, also in Scotland. It's been quite popular. The next ones, car sharing, carpooling. You also they promote the car sharing system. Try to different city halls. What they do, they purchase some electric cars or cars, so to be used for the entire or the people who just register on the scheme. So we got Modo and Mobilpunkt in Germany and Modo in Italy. The carpooling now is being quite popular because also you don't have basically a driver offers a ride to people who might know or might not know. And the thing is quite, they share the expenses of the trip, but you don't have to hire a private driver, so that makes quite the scheme quite sustainable. So it's been, I don't know, in Spain it was really controversial, the Uber app that they use, or the BlaBlaCar is already, in Germany it works really well with Mietwagen-Gelegenheit. It's another, so they use, these ones, they rely on smarts or websites where you can just register. They also raise security reasons because some people are reluctant to share a car with somebody who don't know at all. And this one, the personal bus in the Tuscany region, is quite alike to these ones here, but I just decided to put it like in another itself there because it allows, thanks to the technology that the vehicles have, they can actively change the routes because the place where the bus is located is known in real time by users, so they can change the route. So that's why I decided to include it in a different category. The next one, please. Some key features. So the demand responsive transport, they offer door-to-door services, but they also offer a flexible routing and scheduling. So pickup points can be basically decided by users. And they also, if we think about the community of paratransit services, they improve the accessibility to people with mobility issues. And also they reduce the risk of social inclusion because we have to think also low-income people, low-income families that don't have access to a car, for instance, and there's no other way to get to the city center to move around. And also, in a different way, car sharing and carpooling, they reduce the private car ownership. So there's been, after a few years of these systems were implemented, they came, the private car ownership was reduced thanks to these schemes. The next one is the flexible transit SIS services. These services, I think you can say it's they are good and bad one. It depends on the context, it depends on the region. So, but they give you the main advantage of these schemes is the flexibility that they offer. So the demand responsive connectors, they basically, the main objective of this scheme is for scattered origins. They communicate scattered origins with a common drop-off point. Okay, so everybody wants from rural areas going to a main, and what they do is they connect this flexible service with the main transport network. Okay, so the way they are designed, they don't have any schedule, but they have some time and some buffer. So for those points where the connection or the transfer take place is where they have to, there are some, let's say some time they have to respect, otherwise there's no schedule. Okay, the route deviation schemes, they have a preset route. The thing is they offer a deviation, and this deviation varies depending on the scheme. So for some schemes they find it was like 400 meters, half a kilometer. Another for other was 2 kilometers was enough to deviate from the main route. Okay, and after the shared taxis, some of them, the variety and the examples I found there, they work in a different way. But basically, there are some taxis and they are shared. So they wait at pre-established stops till they get filled, and after they make the route. There are some preset stops, but they are quite flexible in terms of you can ask for the driver to just drop off before the final. Okay, so the key features of this one is they combine both, and they offer that flexibility that is needed in rural areas. And this flexibility is really important because it's enhanced by the use of technology. So we have to think to be able to provide that flexibility that these schemes require. You need to use quite a lot of technical techniques. Next one. Final conclusions. So we observe the integration between services is essential. So we think to provide a comprehensive network, and we need to integrate all the different feeder systems with the main network, or with the main network of transport. Okay, and also we also observed, and this is something that happens in the UK. A lot of schemes were designed at a local level without any integration and without any support from the regional and national level. And whereas in Switzerland, for instance, the schemes were designed at a national level, and they was much more successful because they can coordinate different services and they can offset advantages and disadvantages between them. The uses of technologies was a key issue to guarantee and to enhance the flexibility. This one. And also key stakeholders. It's essential to involve the users from the very beginning, even from the design stage. So we will see that also partnerships. Not only between the transport providers, but we will see also the local institutions, municipalities, city halls behind. This also helps to secure the success. With also marketing and promotion efforts were quite important because the result between when there's been an active marketing campaign behind, the results like the increase, the total number of users at the end was quite higher, right? So I just put some examples I found in different campaigns, and they're just promoting, for instance, at soccer games and kickoff events or special tours. Also, and it's just define a clear scheme branding, okay, like a name or like something that allow users to distinguish pretty well, and that will be also just to call to personal values, okay, so people just to feel identified with the scheme. Okay, so thanks for listening.